Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Creators Outlet. Today, my guest is David Whalen. And before we get going, we want to tell you about our sponsor, SpinWiz Comics at spinwizcomics.com. It is a comic and webcomic discovery platform for readers hosting mainly independent comics. Right now, they have 86, that's right, 86 different indie comic publishers with over 400 titles. Some notable publishers are Source Point Press, Tidal Wave, Marcosia, A Wave Blue World, and Arcana. Majority of the content is all free to read. PDFs are available for purchase, and 70% of the price of the PDF goes directly to the creators. Pretty soon, they will also have a print-on-demand service. So if you read a book that you like and you actually want that book in your collection, you can just be able to click on a button and get that. It's on a free app. You can get it on iOS. I don't have Apple, so I keep messing those letters up. So you can get it on Apple or Android. It's free to download, and there's no subscription required, but there is a subscription level that you can get. Right now, it is 75% off, so it is only $1 a month. It'll remove all the ads and give you a bunch of extra bonuses. Plus, they have a built-in loyalty program. Readers get one entry for every page they read as long as they are signed in on their app for monthly, quarterly, and yearly giveaways. Hey, free comics and free stuff. You can't ask for more. SpinWizComics.com. Go check them out for yourself. And here we go with David. David's actually been on an episode before. He kept telling me he's been on an episode before, and I didn't remember until I actually saw him.
I'm not that memorable, so I understand well. But I appreciate you having me back.
I kept looking at your little icon on Facebook, and I'm like, doesn't look familiar.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to do a better job then.
Well, you were like in a shirt and a tie, I think, on your.
I don't know if I've worn a tie since 1984, but
so it's an old picture. So, tell us what you got going on. I know all the books from your publishing imprint are available on Amazon.
They are. Yeah, you can find me on Amazon.com. You can search David Whalen. You'll be able to find my author page on Amazon. You can find me on correcthandedcomics.com, and there'll be links to all of the books we have available to purchase, which is multiple books in multiple genres and multiple different ways. And I think there's something there for everybody, so give it a shot.
Most definitely. Now, I saw on this page,
yeah,
that you've got Shady Lady here, which is a special one-shot.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, Shady Lady is kind of like my my thank you letter to noir thrillers of the past, like Alfred Hitchcock and Frank Sinatra's old like Suddenly movies and things like that. And what I wanted to do was do a noir thriller with a modern twist. So I decided to make a female protagonist who lives in New York City and starts to see some of the social, political issues that we're seeing in the world today, some of the day-to-day interactions between people, and have her react in a way that I think that most people would react, whether it's positive or negative. And to be able to show this character as a very strong, smart character, but also on some level very flawed character, and see how she reacts to different political and social things happening in New York City. All these things that she's seeing happening in New York City kind of culminate into the ending of the book, which I think has a pretty solid twist, where you learn a little bit more about her in the last few pages, why she's doing what she's doing, and how she eventually, kind of in her mind, fixes the problem, but it might not be in the way most people think.
All right, now I spotted 5 different books already, just like scrolling around your webpage.
I've been working hard.
Oh,
Yep.
I know. I can tell. Yeah, because your main book, The Offspring,
Mm-hmm.
which I only knew was a '90s band.
A great '90s band.
Yeah. Oh man, I love that first album.
Oh yeah, that's
Is already up to issue 12.
great. Actually, 13.
13 now.
13 came out last week, so I've got to do a little updating to the website there. But issue 13 just came out, and I'm calling issue 13 kind of like the season finale of the first story arc. So some of the questions are answered, but new questions arise that kind of push us into the next story arc in issue 14 that's going to come out in January, because I want to take the rest of the year to be able to really focus on some different one-shots. Shady Lady is our first one-shot we had out in January, but I want to be able to get at least 3 one-shots out before New Year. So one before October, one before Halloween, which is, I'm actually right in the middle of them. Which is a one shot called I Won't Stop, which kind of takes the superhero genre and kind of throws it on its head a little bit and does something, I think, with that Superman type archetype character that I think is a little bit different than what people have seen before in that kind of character. So that's hopefully coming out, barring any major problems, before Halloween. Then before Thanksgiving, I have another story coming out called, I have a tentative title, so I'm not going to tell you the title right now because I might change the title. But it is stemmed from my background as a teacher, and I'm always thinking of stories to tell. So I was walking through my classroom with second graders, and we were doing art and having fun and listening to music. And my thought was, how would I handle it if we were attacked by aliens right now? How, as a teacher, would I be able to help protect those second graders, if at all, if I could at all? So that's a story that's coming out in before Thanksgiving. And then before New Year's, I have one more story, which is kind of a shift in the stories that I'm telling. It's more kind of like a slasher story, kind of like the Freddy and Nightmare on Elm Street and Jason and things like that.
Mhm.
And it's called, the main character is called the Sock Hop Killer. So sock hops, for those of your fans who don't know, was the name of a dance in the 50s. They would take off their shoes, they dance in their socks, they call it a sock hop. So I have a character who is very much a 50s kind of iconic looking character, but in the modern day. And we come to find out why throughout the story, why she is killing people the way she is. So it's very much my homage to Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween, and I plan on having that out before New Year's, and I think that's a really good one. I've got a buddy of mine who helped me come up with a story, and you can find him on, thank you, Paul, very much, and you can find him at his Everything Horror podcast, and he really helped me come up with a great story for this slasher that kind of takes the genre in a different way.
That sounds very cool. I like that.
Thank you.
And for the younger viewers, that's right, millennials, I'm talking to you. If you still can't wrap your head around what a sock hop is, go back and watch Back to the Future.
Yeah, Google it. You'll find lots of fun pictures.
Yeah, because they're going to be like, I'm going to Google it. I don't actually want to watch it.
Yeah.
So we're up to 13 issues with the season finale being 13.
Yes.
Now people can buy these on Amazon.
Yeah.
You offer PDFs and print copies from your website as well.
You can. Yeah, you can get digital or print copies of every issue of every story that we've done, and they're selling really well on Amazon. People have asked me, why aren't you doing Kickstarters and things like that? I'm gearing up, but I've had a good amount of success with just Amazon.com through Lulu.com. Also, I've looked into Spinwiz a little bit, and they've got some good stuff going on there. So trying to find different platforms to be able to put the book on. Amazon is getting the job done for now, but I'm sure by the end of the year, I'll have probably the main startings of a Kickstarter, Indiegogo or Kickstarter, whatever it is, whichever one I decide to do, or maybe both. to be able to get different eyes. More eyes on a book is always better than less eyes, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah.
I know what SourcePoint did with SpinWiz is they gave them like a few number one issues of various titles
Yeah.
with various creators. So if somebody reads a number one and they like it, they're probably going to hunt it down and want more.
Yeah.
Want more story content.
Awesome.
There's a new platform that just launched as well called indiecrowdfund.com.
Yeah.
It is specifically just for comic creators.
Yeah, I've talked with Mike Wheeler about it when he was talking about it at the beginning of summer, and it looks like it's really going well for them, really getting a good start to what they're trying to do, and I'm definitely going to look into getting some books on that. They've got a great start to the platform, and I wish them nothing but the best.
Oh yeah, they've got, I think there's like seven campaigns up right now.
It's awesome.
And one of them is Mike and Mindy's campaign for the book that they're doing as a fundraiser to put more money into the actual, to put more money into the platform, for expansions or, advertising and everything.
That's awesome.
And I got to order one of those books because the name of the book is called Boobs.
Hey, you got to go. You got to go with what you like, right?
Well, they make just about everybody happy. And so it's a parody book about a cosplayer that is a little too well blessed, I guess.
Yeah, I've seen some of his advertisements for it. It looks really funny. A really fun book.
Yeah, we had some fun with it over the weekend during CromCon. Now you got some trades for people to get as well.
Yeah, issues 1 through 4 of The Offspring is up in trade, and there's some extra stuff in there also, a little incentive to buy it in trade. And quite honestly, my individual books sell well, but my trades sell a little bit better. So there's always a little extra stuff in the trades. And the first 4 issues of The Offspring very much introduce the characters, very much introduce what the main goal of the first 4 issues is, the story arc. And what I'm trying to do is create these 3 characters that have this really troubled history, really troubled backstory, abusive physical and mental abuse, and they meet and they come to realize that they have gained powers that are reminiscent of how they were abused. So they not only have to deal with the abuse in their lives as children as they start to grow older, they also have to deal with these newfound powers that they can't quite control yet, but they also come to realize that they're not only troublemakers themselves, in some cases by accident, but they are also a beacon for trouble from seemingly other dimensions, other worlds, demons, monsters, ghosts, to be able to find them. So they are kind of like they kind of absorb all these different demons and monsters and things, and they're trying to figure out why this is happening to them throughout the first 13 issues of the story. The first 4 issues deal with a really sensitive topic of child abduction. So our bad guy is abducting children for a pretty nefarious reason, and our main 3 characters go to try to figure out not only where the kids are, but why this bad guy is doing what he's doing, and it kind of propels them into the next story arcs that show why these characters are kind of like a beacon for trouble.
Yeah, that's definitely a very topical.
Yeah,
minus the superpowers, but
Well, the thing about my books is I came up with these characters a very long time ago, long before Smallville said no fights and no tights. But it's very much that they have superpowers. There are some superhero elements, but these kids are not superheroes. They do not wear capes. They do not have special code names that they call each other. They are very much 20-somethings who have not had a good life and are trying to rid themselves of as much problems in their life as they possibly can. And some of those problems are self-made. some of those problems are thrust upon them, and some of those problems are problems that, for anybody who has been through mental or physical abuse in their life, or maybe problems that they'll never overcome and just have to learn to live with. So as the 13 issues go on, we start to see these creatures and these monsters really just coming at them full force to be able to. And we find out that the reason they're doing it through issues 11, 12, and 13, the reason that they're doing it is to make these three main characters more powerful and have more control over their powers for a reason that we have not yet seen. So the issue 1 through 4 is in the first trade. Issues 5 through 10 is in the second trade. And I just, like I said, put out issue 13. Issue 11, 12, and 13, along with our one-shot Shady Lady, is going to be a trade that comes out, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, barring any major problems, before Thanksgiving. So it'll be out just in time for Christmas. So we'll have 3 volumes of The Offspring out before the end of the year.
Well, that's great. It's a good thing you don't have any hobbies.
Unfortunately, I have many hobbies and 2 children and a wife and a full-time job. So it's not dividing my time, but multiplying it, fortunately, in most cases.
Well, that just showing working a full-time job plus the family and a little bit of collecting and reading comics on the side, plus making all of your own. Now, you're the creator on these. Are you also the artist?
Yes, I write and draw most of the books. I've been lucky enough to be able to have some colorists come in and work on some of the early issues of The Offspring, and to help me really set the mood for these characters. For the most part, I do everything myself. I have a great editor, Patrick Daniel, who comes in, who does a lot of work with some small press companies, and he comes in and helps me cross all the T's and dot all the I's and make sure my continuity makes sense and make sure panel to panel I've got everything, all my ducks in a row where they need to go. And I'm really lucky that starting issue 14, I have a great colorist coming in, Chris McAuley, who has worked with Boom Studios, who has worked on Marvel's Spider-Man, who has worked with Disney on Mandalorian, doing some of their costume design, coloring some of their costume designs for the Mandalorian. He's going to start at issue 14 doing the interior colors. So I think Chris is going to come in and really help me take the Offspring to the next level. Issue 14, if issue 13 starts the craziness, in issue 14, starting season 2, what I'm calling season 2, it really takes it to the next level. We're kind of switching genres and jumping genres a little bit. So we started off as very much a thriller horror. We start to shift into a thriller action sci-fi. And in issue 14, we take that sci-fi boom to the next level. I won't give too much away, but you mentioned Back to the Future, and there are some similar things going on.
Now, I have to ask you about this shattered cover for volume 2 of the trade.
Yeah.
Now, it might just be because I just dug out a certain first appearance of a little character called Lobo, but
yeah.
I see a little Lobo-esque in that cover there.
Yeah, okay. I could totally see that. I don't know if I had Lobo in mind, but I could totally see that's one of our main villains there. The main villains are actually a group of godlike creatures called the In Us All, which are the physical embodiments of human emotion. So there is the wisdom in us all, there's the child in us all, there's the fight in us all, there's the caring in us all, and there's that guy that kind of has a Lobo-esque with the black and the red eyes. He is the malice in us all. So these characters are pushing our 3 main characters, our 3 protagonists forward, trying to up their power levels throughout the first story arc. And like I said, we haven't figured out why yet, and I'll start to get into that a little bit in season 2 and progress that story on through the next couple seasons. But yeah, I could see how he totally has a Lobo vibe. Not anything like the character of Lobo, but his look definitely has a Lobo vibe. And I loved Lobo growing up, so why not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us about the imprint
Mhm.
and how you picked the name for it and why.
Yeah, so about 5 or 6 years ago, after I had gotten my master's degree, and I've been teaching for about 12, 13 years now, and I love teaching elementary art. It's a great opportunity to be able to draw all day and draw with the future artists of America. And about 5 years ago, with a job I love, with my wife doing well, and the kids doing well, and getting a little older, I decided to start feeling out to some small press books to be able to do some maybe one shot here, maybe some small short stories for anthologies. And it went really well for me personally, because I was able to grow and to be able to get a little more understanding of what I needed to do to be able to create some of these stories and these pages and these books and all that stuff. And about 2 years into that, I decided that I was ready to be able to tell the story of the offspring and the multiple other stories that I have. So I started trying to think of what my the all important company name would be. And I had a few that I was kind of flipping and floating around in my brain. And then I remembered that as a 20 something, I would work in a lot of restaurants. I worked in restaurants as a 20 something. And people would always notice that I was writing the orders down with my left hand. And I'd get probably 3 or 4 tables a night that would say, "Oh, you're a lefty. Oh, you're a southpaw. Oh, you're writing with the wrong hand," or something like that. And I started saying, "Oh, well, I'm not left-handed. I'm correct-handed. Most people are right-handed. I'm correct-handed." And it was just something that I said as a joke, and they would go, "Oh, correct-handed," and it'd be a little joke that I would to ingratiate myself on the table, so they'd give me more tips. But as I grew, the joke just kind of stuck with me, and I would say it from time to time. And I figured it's a great visual with the left hand, and it can kind of give a little insight into who I am as a southpaw, as a left-handed person. And it just made sense for me to be able to call my company Correct-Handed Comics, and it's worked really well. The I think the logo works well, and I think the logo stands out. And like I said, it gives a little insight into who I am.
I just saw that open hand and I was like, he's going to slap me if I don't buy a book.
Hey, maybe that's a new tagline. I'll slap you if you don't buy a book.
Well, that can be next year's.
The tagline we have now is "Don't get left out," which I think is a pretty solid tagline. But I like that "smack you in the face if you don't buy a book" thing. I like that.
you got to do that MTV show that had all those morons that pull all the pranks on each other.
Yeah. What was that called? I don't remember what it was called.
I would catch like parts of it like on blooper shows or something.
Yeah.
But at one point, it reminded me because of the hand.
Yeah.
There was an episode where they were at a restaurant where a couple of them worked, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And they got this big giant wooden hand
Mm-hmm.
on like a swing door kind of thing, like on a spring-loaded swing door.
Yeah.
And they covered the whole thing with whipped cream.
Nice.
And they had one of the guys go out because they forgot this big, huge pan of lasagna in the car. Could you go bring it in for the girls? And he's like, okay. And as soon as he walks in the two swinging saloon doors,
Yeah.
they let go of the hand. And this thing hit him at like 50 miles an hour. And there was whipped cream everywhere and
Yikes.
lasagna everywhere, too. It was a perfectly good waste of lasagna.
Oh, man.
But, that's my mind. A little too much time on my hands.
It happens.
So, obviously, we can see that you like Superman.
Yeah, I got a little background stuff going on here. You can't quite see Blue Beetle and Booster Gold back here. Ted and Michael back here.
Bonus points for Ted and Mike.
Yeah, I'd say that Blue Beetle is easily really close to Superman as my favorite superhero of all time. I always make jokes to people when I'm talking about comic books and they talk about who they'd want to be and everything, and everybody says, we couldn't be Superman because he's from another planet, he's got superpowers. But the joke is you could be Batman, and my add on to that is you could not be Batman, but you could be Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle's a more attainable goal, I think, for anybody who wants to actually be a superhero. So,
Mhm.
not that level of perfection, but still trying to get there, doing your best to get the job done, and making jokes as you're doing it. I think for me, most people still couldn't be Batman, but if you work, pretty hard, you could be Blue Beetle.
I was so hoping they were gonna do some kind of Booster Gold Blue Beetle.
They talked about it, didn't they? Like a Lethal Weapon type buddy cop movie with. Oh man, that'd be awesome. I'm still waiting to see. I really don't think my wife and I make the joke that I don't think I'm in the demographic anymore for a lot of these CW shows, The Flash and Supergirl and those things. I watched them for the most part, but they're missing the boat not getting Ted Cord in there, aren't they? They need a tech guy. Ted Cord's the guy. Get him in a modified suit, get the bug in the air. Man, I'd watch every day.
I mean, they've already got the model for it from Watchmen.
Yeah, yeah. It'd be perfect. Ted Cord would be a great addition to any of those series. I think that Supergirl had Ted Cord at the beginning of season 1, but I think for some reason I'm thinking they had him as a bad guy, or he was like a tech mogul, or maybe they've mentioned him, and they mentioned him multiple times in Arrow and all those things.
Yeah,
Never.
they mentioned. I don't recall seeing him ever.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember Ted Cord getting mentioned a bunch of times, and Cord Industries getting mentioned multiple times.
Yeah, they're missing the boat. He's a great character. I don't know. We'll see what happens. They're not responding to my letters, so we'll see what happens.
I think the best take. Now, I mean, I loved Arrow. Flash. I get it. They're going to change stuff for the TV show, and but I'm just glad to have something. I mean,
Go ahead.
We had when I was a kid, we had reruns of George Reeves Superman.
Yeah.
We had Linda Carter's Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah.
We had Adam West's Batman, and we had Jackson Bostwick as Shazam, and then later on they brought on the Lady for ISIS. That was it. It was that or cartoons.
Yeah. Yep.
And you had to watch. You actually had to watch them, because if you missed it, you'd have to wait till they replayed it over again.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, they also had the Superboy series in there in the early mid 80s, which I really enjoyed. And they switched the Superboy actor. I always thought the second actor was a little bit closer to Superboy than the first actor. Both great actors. Both did the job well for what they were given. But yeah, that Superboy also was a great opportunity. But yeah, Super Friends, you couldn't really beat it. Because you're growing up as a child of the 70s and 80s, there was some good stuff going on there. But yeah, we're definitely in a, what'd you call it, a renaissance of live action superhero stuff.
That's the best job CW's done has actually been on Stargirl.
I haven't seen it yet. I've heard great things. I just have not had a chance to see it. I want to actually show it to my daughter and my son, who don't really care for superheroes. I make the joke I've got the only 2 children in the world that don't care for superheroes. But I'm excited to start watching. I'll probably wait until they're done with season 1 and then check it on Netflix or on demand or something like that. But I've heard great things.
Oh yeah,
they like her because she was in Belle and the Bulldogs on, I believe, Disney Channel. Maybe it's Nickelodeon. I don't remember which one, but they recognized her right away from that show. So I think I might be able to trick them into watching it due to that.
Hey, whatever works.
Whatever works.
I have no idea what the heck that show is, but
Belle and the Ball. It's cute. It's a cute show. It's about a female football player. It's a cute show.
Oh, okay. I'm down for that.
Yeah.
As long as I don't have to get tackled, but
yeah.
because nobody likes getting hit.
Well, on some level, I played football and coached football for many years, and actually had some female players when I coached in Florida. And it's a good time, but yeah, you got to be a little nuts to want to get to run into people and want people to run into you.
Well, even when I was a kid, I didn't want to get hit. That's probably
Yeah.
why I was a good runner.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So when you were younger, what got you into comics, and what was your favorite stuff to read?
Yeah, so I think as a lot of people in my situation, I grew up having a little struggling a little bit to read, and not really wanting to pick up full books or even children's books to read. And somewhere along the line, I picked up an Archie comic and was hooked ever since. Started reading all the Archies and Betty and Veronica and the Mighty Mouse and Hong Kong Fooey and the stuff that they made into those Hanna-Barberas that they made into comic books. And then at some point, early on, moved into superheroes and just grew up reading all the Spider-Man and Captain America and Superman and Batman and never got out of it. Never got out of it. I would sometimes get yelled out for spending all my newspaper boy money on comic books, and I would rather get yelled at than not buy the comics. And I told my dad that one day, and he never yelled at me again. He said, "You keep yelling at me, Dad. I'm going to keep buying comics. That's my money. I'm going to do what I want with it." So
Yeah.
he just said, "Okay, got it, great." So and never really stopped. And then the boom in the early '90s, where these long maxi series started coming up, like Crisis on Infinite Earths, and some long storylines like The Death of Superman and Nightfall and Clone Saga, started getting me into really wanting to make sure I'm paying attention to the full story, for good or bad of the industry, however you feel about that. Whether it was good or bad for the industry, that's another story. But it really helped me to understand those writing and seeing those great characters and those great artists, and the dynamics of the stories really helped me to understand storytelling by itself.
Oh yeah. With Crisis, George Perez drew every single character that DC
Man,
ever created,
yeah,
whether it's been used in 40 years or not, and
yeah,
put him somewhere in one of those issues.
oh yeah, it was
Mostly,
awesome.
mostly to get killed, but
Yeah.
Now, do you read anything nowadays?
I'm in a very rural area up here in upstate New York, so the closest comic book shops in any direction are at least an hour away. I try to get some digital comics here and there, try to get some when I'm up at cons, try to buy some stuff here and there, especially some indies to support some indie creators here and there at the comic book conventions in Syracuse and Utica and in Watertown, and sometimes in Buffalo when I can make it over there. When I do, it's usually trades. So I'll buy something from. I would say the last thing I bought was maybe from Rebirth, from DC. I'm trying to think of the last Marvel thing I got. It's probably a Spider-Man run, I would bet was the last thing I bought from a Marvel book. But as a older gentleman now and with kids and everything, it's hard to get out. It's hard to keep up with. There's so much. Also, I wouldn't be able to keep up with it the way I did in my teens and 20s,
Oh
to be
yeah.
able to buy so much. And that may be again pros and cons list of the trouble with being a comic book collector is that there's so much you have to make choices to be able to continue buying those comic books. And my choice was I'm going to get a trade from time to time to be able to keep up with it, but I can't buy every book out there. I bankrupt myself.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And well, it's just trades, and
Mhm.
graphic novels are
Yeah.
like 65% of the business,
Yeah. Yeah.
because people would rather pick up, even if it's a continuing story,
Hmm.
but it's like an arc in a continuing story, so they can get like
Yeah.
a whole slew of reading in one sitting.
Oh
And
yeah.
a lot of times you can catch sales, like a lot of comic shops will have buy one get one half price, graphic novel days.
Yeah. Oh
Which is
yeah, if I see a 50% off box, I'm heading that direction to be able to see what they've got in there. And
everybody.
oh yeah, definitely. Even if it's something that I've never heard of, I'll pick up something that's a little bit weirder, or a little bit different, a little bit more diverse, just to see something else that's out there. I think that's one of the strengths of the indie scene right now, the indie community, if you want to go far to call it that, which I'd call it indie community, is the diversity of the characters, of the stories being told, of the creators telling those stories. I think the sheer diversity and the sheer amount of indie creators that are doing the same, similar things to what I'm doing. I always say there's a billion of me, and to stand out, it can be difficult, but that's part of the fun, to be able to get yourself to stand out a little bit. I think is one of the strengths of the industry right now, and something that I hope continues.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
I would definitely call it a community. I mean,
Yeah.
there's umpteen indie comic groups just on Facebook and Twitter alone.
Oh yeah.
And, just like there's like a bazillion podcasts.
Oh yeah, which is good for creators like me. I get to come on and talk to great folks like you.
Oh, thank you. And it's just, especially now in the pandemic, everybody that didn't have a podcast now has a podcast.
Oh yeah. I've been asked multiple times, why don't you start your own podcast? I'm like, I think I just come on and talk for a little bit and then leave and not have to worry about all the nuts and bolts of creating it. I have since March, since school shut down. I'm a teacher. We start tomorrow with actual half kids in class tomorrow. I think that the one of the positive things, if you can pick positive things out of a pandemic, is that it's given people like us in our situation more chances to connect, more chances to be able to meet, more chances to be able to see different things that we probably wouldn't be able to do before all this happened, because we're stuck at home. But not so much now, but especially at the beginning, people didn't know what was going to happen. And I think a lot of people were scared. So reaching out with things like this gave people a chance to be able to maybe relax and be able to talk about something other than politics or pandemic stuff, to be able to just talk about comics and creating comics and buying comics and your favorite stories and characters. And I think it was a good thing for a lot of people, to be able to connect with different people across the state, across their state, across the country, across the world, to be able to meet a whole bunch of different kind of people. And I think it's been amazing.
Oh yeah. I remember when it first started, talking to a bunch of creators that were complaining that they were stuck in the house and they couldn't go out. I'm like,
use that time. Yeah. Yeah, that's a great opportunity. Sit at your drawing table for 15 hours a day and create.
He goes, well, it's because all I do is stay home and write or ink or draw comics. So I'm just mad that I can't go out. And sure. I never go out. I'm disabled in my little motorized wheelchair, and I don't want to say I hate people, but I hate people.
They can be tough sometimes. They can be tough to take sometimes. You're right. It's hard sometimes. When you have people screaming at each other about stuff, it's difficult.
I mean, I love comic book people, and family and friends, and
yeah.
There's basically, you have to be a geek, otherwise, I'm not really gonna want to hang out with you because we have nothing in common. And
yeah, I'm kind of the same way. These podcasts and these communities have kind of been a saving grace for me up here where I am in upstate New York. Like I said, the closest comic book shop is at least an hour away, and not many people up here do what I do. Not many people up here see the benefit. Most do, but not a lot of people see the benefit of the arts as an art teacher. during the pandemic, I got a lot of, like, if I had a student who I didn't see in Google Meets or hadn't sent me anything through the Google Classroom, I would contact their parents, and their answer, their statement to me is, "Oh, we've been focusing on the real classes." And unfortunately, I'm used to it at this point, to where they don't see the benefit of the arts, even though we teach critical thinking, problem solving skills, how to better see and understand the world around you, and that they do art, whether and see art every day, whether they realize it or not. A lot of people don't realize that when you're writing something down, you're using a little picture that stands for a sound. That's art. You're using those little emojis, those little pictures that stand for emotions. That's art. And people, when they get in their car to turn on their radio, not only is the radio need to be drawn before it's put together, the music that they're listening to is art. So it touches people every single day. They don't. Our graphics on our T-shirts is art, and unfortunately, it's an uphill battle. But I think more people are getting on board with the understanding of why the arts are so important. Um, uh, I hope it continues.
Now, do you like being an art teacher because you can go to work in finger paint?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, yeah, oh, yeah. I teach elementary, so the best part of my day is when you're teaching maybe a fourth or fifth grader, because I use comic books in my classroom, and I teach how to draw the figure. We talk about facial structure. We talk about creating a comic book page. We talk about perspective, and we do all those things throughout. Third, it's a little slower. Fourth grade, we start to build up. Fifth grade, we start to build our own comic book pages. And one of the best parts of my day, and I try to hear it, or I hope that I hear it at least once a week to keep me going, is when you're drawing something with them on the board, and they draw and they're struggling with it, or maybe it's not going as well for them as they should, and then you say, okay, let's try it this way, and then you hear one of them go, oh, okay, or wow, that's awesome, or man, I drew that, or something like that from the students is the thing that makes my day. It keeps me going, because it's students who, the first days in art, I can't do that, I don't know how to do that, I'm not an artist. And I say, you're never going to say those three things again to me, because yes, you can. You will know how to do it if you pay attention, and everybody has the ability to be an artist if you just pay attention to the steps and the process of creating. And within 3 weeks, I can't do that anymore, I don't know how to, or I'm not an artist. At the very least, I hear, I don't know, or I hear that's difficult, or that's hard, or I've never done that before. And my answer is always, here's your opportunity to try.
Have you ever tried to teach them sequential art?
Oh yeah, we use comic books, especially in fifth grade. And one of their last projects throughout the year is to be able to tell a story from beginning to end on a one-page comic book, using comic book page using 5 to 6 panels. And usually they're pretty excited about it. I always get a student who is kind of grumpy about it, or maybe struggles in the classroom, no matter what that classroom is. And my answer is always, just tell your story. It is your story. You are the person that is telling your story. So whatever that is, do it. It doesn't have to be superheroes, or it doesn't have to be anything that I've talked about. If you like vampires, do vampires. If you like football, it can be a story about football. If you like spacemen, it's a story about spacemen. And usually I can turn them around pretty quickly when they realize that I'm not telling them what to do. I'm just giving them an opportunity to do it.
5 panels to tell a story.
Yeah, that's the reaction I get from some of them too. I can't do this in 5 panels. Well, you're gonna have to simplify it up, because some of them want to tell War and Peace. They want it to be a huge epic battle, or a huge epic love story, or whatever it is. And I say, nope. You gotta introduce the characters, introduce the problem. They fix the problem. The climax of the story is them being happy with the fix of the problem. You're done.
Yeah, that would have been me. I got to make a 100-page spectacular.
Yeah, I need 1,000,000 ninjas. No, you need 3 ninjas. Get them on the page.
Well, I know how difficult that can be, and how amazed I am at the guy who writes the 3-panel crime stories on
Yeah.
Instagram.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm like, and a lot of those just blow me away.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them are funny.
Mm-hmm.
You can't laugh at them in a crowded room funny, but they're still funny.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So tell us about some of the other books you have going on.
Yeah. I've got a 4-issue miniseries called Evolution Utero, and I really love this story. It's probably the most, at this point, the most traditional superhero story that I have. But I was about to say it's no flights, no tights. But at the very end, there in issues 3 going into 4, I do introduce, for a very good reason for the story, probably the most superhero-esque character that I have. And Evolution Utero is a story of, I wanted to do a superhero tale, but I didn't want to just do another superhero story. So I thought, how can I look at this from a different angle? So I started thinking about how people talk about how they were born to be a hero. They were born to save the world. They were born for this or that. And I thought, what if we look at it from the angle before the actual superhero is born? So I started thinking, how can I make that interesting? So I thought, well, if the hero is in the mom's belly, the mom has to be the conduit. The mom has to be the thing that is helping to tell the story, right? The protagonist that's helping to tell the story, because this hero isn't born yet. So I thought of different ways to be able to make that character interesting, and I thought it was most interesting to have a character, a superhero character that's not born yet, be inside the worst person you could imagine. So, so our main protagonist is a strong female character, but doesn't a very not black and white, a very grayed, very in grays with her morality character, and she has not, up until the point that we've met her, made good choices in her life. She's very selfish. She doesn't care for people. She doesn't treat people well. She has friends, but don't often treat them well either. So I thought that putting somebody who could possibly be an inspiration to millions of people in the world, like Superman, like Captain America, like Spider-Man, but put that character in the worst character in the world, the least inspirational character in the world. So the story really is about her and how she struggles with that nurture nature type feeling, that morality, that the world is not black and white, the world is very gray, and how she starts to make her choices based off how she's being affected by this super baby, super fetus in her belly, and how she still doesn't wants to make good choices, but still struggles with them. And the story has everything you'd want in a superhero story without the actual superhero at the beginning. It's fight scenes, it's time travel, it's bridges being destroyed and helicopters flying out of the sky and all those things. And I'm really proud of it. The individual issues, the first 4 issues, if you buy the individual 4 issues, it makes one big long panoramic poster. But then you can buy it in the trade also. I actually have the trade right here. You can buy it in the trade right here that collects all 4 issues to be able to, with some extra stuff in there also, to be able to enjoy it as one big story arc. That's actually, we've mentioned Back to the Future a couple times. That's actually my Back to the Future, where I end it. I finish the story, I wrap it all up, and then there's that Doc Brown crashing into the driveway. We gotta go. We gotta fix it, kind of thing, because I have the next story arcs already in my brain, most of it written out, ready to go. So eventually I'll get to the next story arc with these characters and how she handles what happens to her at the end of the first 4 issues. And then we have time for one more, Will? We're okay? Okay. So, and then I have a great story called The Loved Ones that I actually just drew I came up with a concept, and a buddy of mine, Brian Menard, who works for Dojo Kun Comics, look him up on Facebook. He makes great comic books. I came to him with this concept, and he loved it, and he wrote a script, and I loved the script, and I said, let's draw this. So it took me about a year to be able to do the 100+ pages. It's got, again, a great ending, great kind of story arcs throughout all of it. And what it is, I'm a big fan of classic monster movies. Frankenstein's monster, Dracula, Wolfman, all those things. I'm a big fan of them. And I came up with this idea of, what if these characters had children? For whatever reason, abandoned these children. These children were brought up by a Van Helsing type monster hunter character. And then these children of the classic movie monsters go to hunt their parents. So it's I think, again, taking that genre and kind of doing it in a different light. I'm sorry, will say it again?
That's kind of evil.
Yeah. We wanted to do something a little bit different with it, and I think Brian came up with a bunch of great angles and a bunch of great character scenes to be able to character moments to be able to really grow these characters and have them be, while monsters, very human also. Not just the four kids of monsters, but the monsters themselves, to be able to kind of see them in a different light, see vampires and wolfmen and witches and Frankenstein's monster in a way you've never seen them before.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
Like I just got rid of all my streaming services, so I should be able to read more. Except I discovered Pluto TV.
Uh-oh.
Which isn't that bad. It's free, so I'm like,
yeah.
But I spent about a week and a half. I found they have like channels that are specifically tailored to like this show or that show, or this genre, and I found a Star Trek channel that was free. It's Next Generation. So I keep watching and I go, there's no originals. I go, okay. So I go to the next channel and it's classic Doctor Who stuff.
Oh, good stuff.
From the very first to, Tom Baker, where I discovered Doctor Who. And then I go to the next channel and it's Dark Shadows.
Nice. Love a little Dark Shadows.
So I was on Dark Shadows for about 6 days.
Awesome.
Just kept going over because I'm a huge fan of that. I've got about half of the original comic book run of Dark Shadows.
Oh, really?
And then I found
how many issues did that get to?
I think I only get to like 18.
Oh, okay.
So I've got like 7 or 8 of them.
Hey.
But I mean, if those things are in, even halfway decent shape, they run about $20 or $30 a piece.
That's awesome.
So, do you have any other books coming up, or?
Yeah, actually, I have, like I said, issues 1 through 13 of The Offspring was kind of like season 1, and issue 13 is like the season finale, kind of wrapping up storylines and kind of explaining things, and kind of answering some questions. But then we ask a whole bunch of slew of other questions to kind of propel us into season 2, which is going to start with issue 14 that I'm hoping to get out in January. I just actually wrote issue 14 a couple of days ago, sitting down with my kids, and we were talking and having a good time, and I popped in my brain exactly how I wanted to start season 2 and exactly how I wanted to get these characters up and running for the next story arc, and I wrote it in about 10 minutes. And I love the angles that I'm taking, and I love the way the characters are all lining up. In between issue 14 of The Offspring, I'm going to really focus on those one-shots. So I have Shady Lady that came out in January. My next is going to come out, I'm hoping going to come out, barring any big-time problems, is going to come out before Halloween, and it's called I Won't Stop. And it is probably the most superhero ish story that I've done so far. There's flights and tights and capes and all that kind of stuff. But I think I've got a story that is a superhero genre story, but in a different way that I think that is very unique and very different that people haven't seen before. It's a psychological and physical, the psychological and physical toll that I wanted to take on a Superman type character, and pushing it to its limits and seeing how, even if you were born with these powers, even if you think you can save the world, should you? And that's I Won't Stop, that'll come out in hopefully before Halloween. Then I have the other story about alien abduction, and then the sock op / sock op killer that'll come out before New Year's. So we got a lot coming out here in the next couple months. I'm super excited about getting those one shots going, and then getting them into a trade. The first 4 one shots, my plan is to get them into a trade to be able to sell them all together so people can enjoy all those stories all in one fell swoop.
As an anthology kind of thing.
Oh yeah. And I think I have some 3-page, 4-page stories from other writers. I've been really lucky to be able to have a lot of writers contacting me and saying, "Hey, I've got this, I've got that," to be able to get a chance to be able to flex my muscles with other writers also, and to practice my writing style with other writers, to where it's not me writing it. I'm just trying to communicate what what another writer wants to communicate. And I love being able to give that platform to other writers who are writing amazing things that I can't wait to be able to get in those anthology type stories.
Well, it all sounds very interesting.
I hope so.
The in utero, and until you get to a certain point, I thought you were talking about my daughter's mother.
Uh-oh. Yikes.
So I want to read that just to make sure it's not her.
There might be signs of.
It sounded like it.
Similarities of.
I was getting scared.
Uh-oh.
So where can people follow you on the interwebs?
Yeah, so you can find me on Facebook at Correct Handed Comics. You can find me on Twitter, Correct_Handed. You can find me on Instagram, Correct_Handed. And you can find us on our website, CorrectHandedComics.com, with links to everything. If you go to Amazon and you look up David Whalen, they've got the great author pages and everything I've ever created right there on the author pages. And you can find it in print and digital. So a little something for everybody.
Oh yeah. Plus, because you're on Amazon, people can actually just follow you.
Yeah.
Through the Amazon link.
Yeah. Follow on Facebook, follow on Amazon. I love it. It's great.
And the link for Correct Handed Comics is in the show description, either up above or down below, depending on whether you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube.
Yeah, please give us a like and a follow. Give us some of those thumbs up. It really helps to get eyes on the book, and I really appreciate all the support.
Most definitely. Check it out. He's got plenty of trades going on, so you can grab a trade and sit down and read an entire arc.
Awesome.
Of his story. So definitely check out David at CorrectHandedComics.com, and we'll see you next time right here on Creators Outlet. David, thank